the House of Lords. So, I mean, as far as the controversies surrounding the House of Lords today, as you can see, the controversies around the existence of the House of Lords and the need for its existence were even back then in the 17th century. So the monarchy was abolished. Of course, Anglican Church was also abolished. So the king, who was the head of Anglican Church, was executed, and also Anglican Church was executed because for Puritans it was not anti-Catholic enough. Plus the House of Lords, already mentioned. Well, okay. Who would hold the highest authority? Of course, Oliver Cromwell, together with the army. So he would rule with the army, plus the House of Commons. Yeah, plus the House of Commons would be the supreme authority.
Tyle dziwne. To nie było tak, że jak online się wczytywało, to najpierw był ten widok z góry, nie? Z lotu ptaka. A teraz nagle jakby wczytało od razu wszystko i postać jest dziwna. To mi się podoba. Jak w ogóle nie kręciło w niebie. Szybko. Nie, bo FIFA wczoraj się dobrze grało, dzisiaj nie. Dzisiaj jest zły dzień.
Of his rule, of him being a leader of the Republic, this is a mixed bag. He was very much unsuccessful when it comes to.
That's what I like.
When it comes to his home policies, when it comes to his handling of the situation in England. On the other hand, he was quite successful when it comes to his foreign policy. So basically, during his reign, the country became.
Pewnie będzie, bo nie wychodzi do 1 marca.
And strengthened. Outside. So let me give you examples. When it comes to the situation, the rule inside the country, he would antagonize. He would antagonize the countries of the British Isles. He would take revenge on the citizens of these countries. So, for example, he would wage military operations against the Scots, for example, and these operations would continue.
Mam nadzieję, że mi kurwa nie zawiesi, bo wczoraj coś się przestało funkcjonować. Aha, okej.
And then, as far as Ireland is concerned, he would take revenge on Irish people for supporting protesters.
Oczywiście, że chcę w pojedynkę.
In 1641. When it comes to other changes, there would be changes related to culture, which would be the result of Puritan ideology. So something that we have already mentioned. It would be about censorship. It would be about the control of the morality, public morality of people. Banning holidays and various kinds of entertainment that were supposed to lead to sin or sinful thoughts. And Oliver Cromwell was not skillful enough to balance the powers of him as a Lord Protector, the title that he would assume later, Parliament and the army. So he would not handle this up to the point that finally he dissolved Parliament, and he became in the end he became a dictator. So what the country would be left with would be the military dictatorship. When it comes to his foreign policy, he would engage England in several wars that would be a success, and consequently England would benefit from the peace treaties. What is more, his country would go into alliances that would secure the international position of England. So for example, England would ally France against Spain. England would also secure its position in the Mediterranean, and here we are talking about English shipping.
Nice.
Yes, and alliances, agreements with Denmark.
Kurwa, gdzie ja jadę? Co jest?
Help to secure the situation, help to secure the interests of English shipping.
Wow, staranowałem ich w chuj.
Then alliance with Sweden strengthened the position of England in the north. And all these successes
Trafić nie mogę w wózek, jak nie jestem gnojem tępym.
The commercial position of England, and consequently would strengthen the colonial position of England. Okay, so we've already mentioned it, that when Oliver Cromwell died, his son Richard would not have enough charisma to continue with the Republic, and he decided to give power back to the monarch, in this case to the son of the executed Charles I. So the son of Charles I would come back to England, and he would assume the name Charles II. So his father was Charles I, and he would assume the name Charles.
Stary Charlesa II był Charlesem I.
In other words, the monarchy
Ja bym się nie domyślił nigdy.
was restored under Charles II, and that is why this period of time when Charles II started ruling has the name Restoration period. So the period of time when the monarchy was restored. And we already said that Charles I was very pro-Catholic, and actually Charles II was his son was also very much attracted to Catholicism.
Centralnie przed drugim był pierwszy? Bo nie mam pewności już teraz. Wiem, że krótko był, nie? Patrz szybko. Okej.
This would make Parliament feel
za którym mam jechać? Za tym?
This would alarm.
No tak, to prawda.
This was the word that I've been looking for. This would,
tam wiem, że nawet była podobna godzina do 21:37.
Would again alarm
chyba, jak umarł, coś takiego, tak by się coś kojarzy.
As we have already mentioned it, when talking about Christianity in the UK, that's why Parliament decided to introduce the legislation that prevented Catholics from access to important position in the country. But Charles II would also have like his father, he would have a strong belief in the power of the monarch. So Parliament decided to respond to this as well, and in order to guard itself against the strong absolutist tendencies of Charles, they would establish political parties. So in the 17th century, first political parties that were supposed to strengthen the position of Parliament were created, were established. Yeah, this is what we said. So let me tell you now a few words about about birth of these political parties. What's interesting about these what's interesting about the formation of political parties was that from the very beginning there was two parties were established, and until today in the political system we have two major
pieniądze, jak widać, zajebiste.
Political parties. Today we have the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, but it all started with the parties whose names would be the Whigs and the Tories.
Jak widać, uczę się. Kogo dzisiaj tu nie ma? Proszę bardzo.
If we think about how liberal versus how conservative the two parties were. We have to say that
daj spokój.
The party associated with,
Znając życie,
with reform,
teraz będziecie kręcić w nieskończoność, bo GTA Online lubi takie przypadki.
Would be the party of the weeks. So this was the party that that knew that the situation in the country is unstable. That any time the poorest.
Ale to była taka fajna, spokojna misja, bo ja mam dość misji w online, gdzie trzeba tak napierdalać i się pocić.
So they would
dostałem 50 000 za coś. Za co? Za tą misję w końcu dostałem 50 000? Franklin niedługo się odezwie. O Jezu, a za ile? To znaczy niedługo.
Whereas Tories were also
Jay-Z. Możemy zrobimy jakąś taką misję typową online teraz, bo to są takie fajne, jakby to jest single player DLC. Ale no póki nie zadzwoni, to możemy pojechać sobie do naszego biura.
For necessary changes. And by the way, we have here non-conformity. Non-conformity would be the term which was about, which refers to
Kapitan. Nie wiem, jak to chodzi. O, fajne to GTA Online ze znikającymi samochodami jak w Cyberpunku. Dobra, daj mi spokój, dziadu. Kurwa, jakieś misje na jachcie, ale to słyszałem, że to jest gówno chyba.
About more openness when it comes to religion. By the way, because the Tories were very conservative, later on they would change the name into a
Jasne, pędzę tam.
But the name Tory would still be used, although there was a change of the name Tory into conservatism. The name Tories also survived until today. So as far as religion is concerned, the Whigs would be more tolerant, whereas the Tories would be conservative, and this conservatism would be associated with the support of the monarch. So the support of the monarch.
Na wykładzie jest teraz 30 osób ze 120.
Anglicanism, of Anglican Church.
A z tego i tak jest egzamin, więc sam nie wiem. Nie to, żebym się uczył w tym momencie z czegokolwiek, bo nie.
Which social groups supported or would cling to which political party? The Whig Party was supported.
Na bank teraz się zacięło.
Would be supported by the.
Żartowałem oczywiście.
What would later become the middle classes. The middle classes. So they were supported by the so-called industrial interest. So in the 18th and the 19th century, the industrial revolution would create the new middle classes that would consist of, for example, of the company owners, of the employers, of bankers. So they would support the Whigs, who supported freedoms, including economic freedoms. Whereas when it comes to the party, the Tory
Podłączyć pendrive'a w bazie FBI jak najbardziej.
by landowners,
FIB,
by
przepraszam.
aristocrats. Now, when it comes to the power of the monarch versus the power of parliament, it was the Tories who supported the power of the monarchy, and the Whigs the Whigs would not be against the monarch, but they were of the opinion that the monarch should cooperate with Parliament. Yes, and as far as the names of these, as the labels are concerned, in the 19th century, there were changes in the names of both parties. In the 19th century, the Tory party, because of its conservative tendencies, became known as the Conservative Party. But again, the Tory party was still applied. Whereas when it comes to the Whig Party, because of them opting for changes, because of them being more liberal, in the 19th century, the Whig Party became a liberal party. The name would be the Liberal Party. So, in the 19th century, the Whig Party, because of their ideologies, the Whig Party in the 19th century became known as the Liberal Party, whereas the Tory Party in the 19th century became known as the Conservative Party. And by the way, later on in the 20th century, the Liberal Party, so the Whig Party that changed its name in the 19th century to Liberal Party, would change its name again for the third time in the 20th century. And today, in the 20th century, then Liberal Party would become a Liberal Democratic Party. And actually this name has survived until today, because until today the third largest party in the country is Liberal Democrats. Okay. Just changing the time. Checking the time. Okay, so to sum up, first political parties were formed in England in the 17th century, and these parties would be a Whig party and a Tory party. 200 years later, these parties would change their names. So the Whig Party became the Whig Party would become a Liberal Party, and the Tory Party would become a Conservative Party. And in the 20th century, the Liberal Party would become the Liberal Democratic Party because it joined the Social Democratic Party. So the merger of the Liberal Party and the Social Democratic Party would lead to the new name Liberal, because of Liberal Party, and Democratic because there was a merger with Social Democratic Party. So we have Liberal Democratic Party. And today, until today, this party is called Liberal Democratic Party. So in short, the members are Liberal Democrats, or in short, Lib Dems. So until the beginning of the 20th century, because there were two major political parties, the rule would be the rule when it comes to political forces apart from the monarch. The prominence would be given either to one party or the other. In other words, until the 20th century, it would be either Liberal Democratic Party that would have the governing majority in Parliament.
This is the one time we can be grateful the FIB is tracking absolutely everything. We get access to their system.
In the 20th century,
but how?
Okay. Their HQ is totally secure. They won't let you pass the security unless they want you to get past it. For like an emergency or something. I'm going to take a minor drill. They use the phone systems these days totally hackable.
A fatal blow.
Once that's happening, they land onto the roof and go down through the skylight with the glass cutter you set them up with.
Appeared later in the 20th century was the Labour Party. When the Labour Party appeared, it had more support than Liberal Democrats, and this meant a political death to the Liberal Democrats. I mean, they would not be wiped out of the political scene, but the priority by the voters would be given to the Labour Party, which means that when it comes to the struggle, the competition between two parties, since the appearance of the Labour Party, the struggle would no longer be between the Conservative Party and Liberal Democratic Party, but between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party. And it is like this, and it is like this today. So until today, the two major parties that fight for power in the UK is the Conservative Party on the one hand, or Tory Party, because the name has been preserved, versus the Labour Party. Just a few words about the British conservatism. So the members of the Conservative Party and the supporters of the Conservative Party at least are supposed to believe in the so-called traditional values and the tradition. So the tradition, which would be the examples would be the belief that the marriage is supposed to be between a man and a woman. The condemnation of abortion. The supporters of the party today are business and commerce, because the Conservatives are for little control of the big business by the country. And strong links, obviously, with the Church of England. Opposition to radical, also what is considered morally radical ideas. And when it comes to the Labour Party, today they are mainly associated with the protection of the working class people. Although the Labour Party supporters are also among middle class voters. For example, occupations related to education. So, for instance, teachers, including a university teacher, would often vote the the Labour Party, and the Labour Party is associated with social reform, with economic reform, with broadly understood socialism. They believe in the fair share of the role of the country in the economy in order to help those most disadvantaged. Right. So one of the last developments in the 17th century, political developments, was the one that we have already mentioned when talking about Christianity. Would be the so-called glorious revolution, or bloodless revolution, as it was called. So what we said was that this revolution was about Parliament being strong enough to get rid of James II, who was a Catholic, and they were afraid of his newly born son, who could take the
fajna muzyczka w tle jest. Podoba mi się to. Wchodź na drabinę tylko, wiesz? Ja pierdolę. To jest nieprawdopodobne. Wejść na drabinę nie umiem. Is it San Andreas or something?
Get rid of a Catholic monarch and invited on the throne, to take the throne, James's daughter, Mary, who would become, as the queen, she would become Mary II, because so far there had been only Mary I, Tudor, and together with her on the throne would be her Protestant husband. Of course, Mary was also a Protestant, and this was the reason for the Parliament introduced. And William became William III of Orange. In Polish, we talk about William Orański.
William Orański. Jezu, William Orange.
And from a political point of view, of course, it meant a lot because it showed that Parliament was now much stronger than the monarch. Let me check the time. Okay, we still have some time. Okay, one of the leading British historians, Niall Ferguson. He, by the way, he wrote several books.
No nie, wy kurwy niebieskie.
Have a look at them. Now, in 2004, he was named by the Times one of the most influential people in the world. Sorry, not by the Times, but by Time magazine. So, the Times is a British newspaper, whereas Time magazine is an American magazine. And what's interesting is that basically Ferguson would believe would also believe in the idea that what helps your country, what can make you a strong country, is the institutions, is the strength of the institutions of the country. So we can put the blame on the poor situation of our country, enumerating natural forces, referring to maybe geopolitical place of our country, or diseases. So we can blame these all for the lack of successes of our country, for the weakness, poverty, chaos, etc. But he would be one of those who would claim that actually there is a strong connection between the strength of the institutions of a country and
nie da się górą? Czy da się górą?
And the well-being of a country in general.
What a scam.
And Ferguson, Niall Ferguson, in reference to this, Niall Ferguson would say that actually the glorious revolution, the glorious revolution by diminishing the power of an absolute monarch would contribute to the strength of the more democratic institutions of the country, and this would lead, together with, of course, the glorious revolution. This would lead to the transformation in the politics, in the economics, and this would contribute to the well-being of the country. So this glorious revolution was an example of a situation when it would be people who fought for more rights, for more political rights, and this would also, by implication, lead to the expansion of economic opportunities, and this would contribute to the well-being of the countries. So, to sum up, a country may achieve a success provided that its institutions are strong. And by strong, here we mean having political powers against the power of the monarch, or against the power of any authoritarian power. So the more democracy, the more political freedoms people enjoy, the greater success their country can achieve. So the stronger institutions, the stronger the country. Yeah, and basically he would also say that in general the strength of
Poczekamy chwilę.
Would be behind the success of the West or Western Europe, and so he would claim that that the countries that would adopt the British way, so to speak, would enjoy better greater well-being and better situation, including economic situation. All right. What else? In another blow to the power of the monarch would be the so-called Bill of Rights. As the name suggests, the Bill of Rights. It was about the rights of people occupying the British Isles. So the bill would make it
A pewnie wyjść i wejść. No. Żeby wyjść. Prosto.
Of the citizens of the country were, and again, whenever there was more power in the hands of the people, the less powers would rest with the monarch. So the Bill of Rights would would weaken the monarch and would strengthen the representation of people, meaning parliament. So the Bill of Rights is a basic institution of also of the British Constitution. The Bill of Rights made sure that future monarchs would not use their powers. So basically, the Bill of Rights. If we think about the milestones in the milestones in the democratic evolution of the country, then we also have to mention the Bill of Rights, and maybe to be more specific, the Bill of Rights.
Hey boss. Hey other boss. I'm done with the analysis on that data we pulled from the FIB.
So what we looking at?
I'm seeing 3 data signatures in 3 different places, all matching up with Dre's phone.
Damn, so 3 people got copies of this thing, right?
Yep, and they all went dark a while ago. I have a last known location, but that's all.
Shit. Hey man, we gotta find them all.
Yeah, I got the deets on your computer back at the office. I'll go through it when you're back.
Power in the hands of people's representation. The Bill of Rights would also secure free elections. The Bill of Rights would also secure something that is so dear to the people of Britain, which is the freedom of speech. And the freedom of speech was very important because this is what Parliament should be all about. The members of Parliament should be allowed to speak their own minds. They should be allowed to have a free discussion, whereas before they may have been punished by the monarch. If the monarch decided that what members of parliament would say was in any way offensive to the monarch. The old idea of no taxation without representation, so the idea that the monarch cannot impose taxes on people without the agreement of parliament was still included here. Yes, other principles from the rights from the Bill of Rights would be about freedom from government, the freedom from any government, be it a royal.
Hey, what's up? You want to head over to Davis? Man, that's the last place I got the lock on that Dre copy. I set you up with the old contact burning. Let me fill you in on the way.
Idea included in the Bill of Rights
Wow.
Would be that people.
Hey, look, now I know this hood. My auntie still lives up in Strawberry.
Ja się nie będę odzywał.
So I had a word with some Davis neighbors, you know, family's people, to see if they can find out some shit about Dre's phone.
Okej, chyba będzie dobrze.
Vernon, that's the guy that can help. But we gonna need to scratch his back before he can scratch ours. But we should be good. Fair warning though, man, he's old school, even for me.
The 18th century, we already mentioned this. The Act of Settlement was established. And what else? And this Act of Settlement would allow the Germans to enter
Nie da się przepchnąć
British throne.
No bez ja.
And in the 18th century, we have on the throne George I.
drugi dzień, drugi raz, niesamowite.
George was an elector of Hanover, so he was the first Hanoverian king of Great Britain. And according to the Act of Settlement, his mother, Sophia, was nominated an heiress to the English throne if the reigning monarch, William III, and his aunt died without issue. So this is what the Act of Settlement said. Because the Electress Sophia and Anne died in quick succession, George became the king in 1740.
Ja pamiętam, tutaj Franklin zabijał jeden z tych celów chyba dla Lestera. A nie, albo to było z ostatniej misji. Coś tak, nie, może.
He never, so he was Hanoverian, he was in Hanover, and despite the fact that he became an English king, he never bothered himself never troubled himself to learn English, and he would not spend too much time in England either. He spent at least half of this time in Hanover, in the German province.
Zniszczyli mój pojazd, no nie.
Yes, and he basically distrusted Tories because of their Catholic sympathies, and that is why he chose. And because he didn't know the language, and because he was away from the country very often, he chose his right hand, so to speak, Robert Walpole. So Robert Walpole was supposed to be his
masz pół życia, wow.
in a way, he was supposed to help him to. He was supposed to, when he was away, he was to help him lead government debates. Okay, and by the way, Robert Walpole is considered to be to have been the first British Prime Minister. Of course, he was not the Prime Minister as we know today, but he was given the history would give him the name of the first British Prime Minister. It was quite an unlucky choice on the part of George I, because Robert Walpole was really against the power of the monarchy, he was for the weakening of the power of the monarchy. Okay, so let me say goodbye to you. Have a good time. Please see to relaxation.
Nie wiem. Raczej zakładają, że osoby, które są zgromadzone na tym kierunku, rozumieją wszystko. I w sumie tak jest, bo to nie jest skomplikowany język na szczęście. Bye bye. A nie słyszy mnie. Chuj. Dobra, tam się nie wykazujcie.
Merry Christmas, bye bye.
Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas.
Spadać. Wiesz, jak się by nie znało czegoś, to zawsze ta prezentacja jest gdzieś chyba. Tam w Teamsach są slajdy, więc... No, ale jeśli jakimś fartem bym tutaj się dostał i bym kompletnie nic nie wiedział, no to można sobie potem przetłumaczyć. Chyba. Jezu. Nic nie pamiętam już. Wiem tylko, że Magna Carta. I że Charles II był synem Charlesa I. To już jest coś. O nie, tam jest jakiś zły gracz. Nie, jest pod mostem. Dobrze, tam jego człowiek. Co? Tam jego miejsce. Kurwa, czytam i mi się już lasuje. O policji 5 miliardów, kurwa, sztuk. Tu stoi twój człowiek. No to są wykłady akurat o historii Wysp Brytyjskich i dzisiaj był XVII wiek. I o tym, jak tam politycznie się to wszystko formowało, o partiach. No, ale wszystkie te slajdy mamy jakby na później, więc będzie potrzeba, to sobie zajrzę. Mam wrażenie, że ostatnio był XII wiek, jak słuchałem jej. Teraz nagle XVII. Szybko poszło. Chyba coś mnie ominęło. Mam nagrany na streamie. Włączę sobie. Z filozofii to będzie dopiero, kurwa, rżnięcie głupa. Ja słuchałem dosłownie 2 razy gościa. Pierwsze 2 wykłady. On materiały wysyła na bieżąco, ale zagadnienia są popierdolone. O Jezu. Koniecznie.
Okay, cool. We're here. I'll be in touch with Franklin when I get some.
Akurat irlandzki na początku mówiła po angielsku, a teraz gada po polsku, nam resztę, nie wiem. Różnie bywa właśnie z nią, raz na angielski, raz na polski. No i filozofię mamy po polsku. No już coś tam piszą na tej grupie, je pan. O, mnie pierdolną prawie. Dobra, dobiorę kolejną przygotowującą misyjkę chyba. Te przygotowujące są jakie są, ale będzie fajny, potem myślę. Jezus, kurwa. Ciągle coś, ja pierdolę. Co za ludzie? Nie nagrywaj nic. Co? Spokojnie.
Hey, Vernon just called. Word on the street is the ballers had something to do with this shit. He say he got a plan, but he needs you there.
O, to
Head
jest
back to the
something
office
new.
when you want to get started on this.
Okay. Okay, I can dig it. Poczekaj chwilę, ja też zadbam.
God damn, traffic is that backed up? I wish you would have told me earlier, asshole.
Parla più piano, terere, terere. Dokładnie tak to leciało, patrz. Dzienny utarg $250. Ja pierdolę. Hey Jude. Ta misja, idę się kurwa ogarnąć, bo siedzę jak ten menel bezdomny. Pierdolony. Jeszcze czarny. Nie. $250. Eagle from Europe. VIP.
Back to Davis. Our family's contact has a lead on the Ballas. Franklin's gonna call when you're on the way. I'd be ready for this to get messy.
Balasi. A helikopter sobie zażyczę. A co? Stać mnie. No to kurde nędzy, nie wierzę.
Hey, so Vernon came back with a lead. He say the ones that got this copy of Dre's phone fuck with the ballers. I gotta say, this seemed like a dumbass move even for them. But it's all we got right now. Hey, so go meet with Vernon and see what he got.
Ale daleko. Warto było brać helikopter.
So did Franklin tell you we going after the ballers today? And when I asked, one name kept coming up for these Drake tracks. Dude called Pete. A real baller OG.
Pete.
Go back as far as I do to DNF. We're gonna need to talk to him. A lot. And that'll probably mean killing a bunch of his dudes.
Wow.
Right. I got some more units over there.
Needy Unicorn.
Straight there, y'all. Come on.
O kurwa. Dużo wszystkiego. Trafię w znak jak nic. Jebani. O, balans. Gdzie ty biegniesz? No nie mam życia. Dobrze, spokojnie. Jezu, ile? Fajnie. Uwielbiam. Co za gówno bezczelne. A, mam podążać za czymś teraz. A nie, no dobrze. iPhone. A nie, no gdzieś on idzie, tak? Co się dzieje? Chuj wam w banie.
I swear. You gotta give me something better than your word, good? But Drake, of course, it's my calls. That's what got it. Some punk looking for clout, blasting tracks all over the project out some low. Okay, y'all can make some calls here. See if this stacks up. I'll give Frank a call when we know.
Wagosi mają muzę dre. Kurwa, duży ten teren. O.
Fucking hell.
Dobra, ja tam z EW.
Hey, we got something on this copy we after. P's story kinda check out. Man, lowriders cruising Rancho blasting Dre's demo and ain't nobody heard it before. And get this, Vernon and P, they both want in on this lick. Families and ballers on the same side? Man, I ain't never think I'd see the day. Hey, look, get back to the office whenever you ready.
jerk! Now you're gonna get it!
Real, that fool gone?
You know, if it weren't for him, I'd have followed my dream of being a basket weaver. Then I'd be happy. He said art was for fruits and property would never tank. Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Let's fucking go now! You abort! All you motherfuckers are dead! Nut liquor! I'm coming for y'all now!
Ja was proszę, panie B, idź pan, daj pan żyć, adieu, bo czy ja jestem PKO, Rockefeller czy co? Dzwonisz do mnie pan dzień, chodzisz za mną miły dzień, podchlebiasz się pan słodkomi, bonjour mon cher ami. Czy możesz mi pożyczyć 5 złotych do niedzieli? W niedzielę ma być u mnie mój stryjecznej siostry wuj. Wuj opiekuje barata od ciotecznego brata, a brata swata pan prąd, co ma dom. Więc prąd da dom tej panny prąd i bratu spada dom, jak wuj swój lub wziąć będzie mógł i ja ci oddam lub. Więc możesz mi pożyczyć 5 złotych do niedzieli. Będziemy mieli forsy w niedzielę jak na Bóg. Mnie spotyka taki gość, co miał do mnie wczoraj złość, a dzisiaj już mnie wita raz. Serwus kopelat. Ściska dłoń jak się masz i ma uśmiechniętą twarz, wtedy jest to dla mnie znak, za chwilę powie tak. Przepraszam, nie będę nudził cię.
About to come with some Dr. Dre, Queen Ben, and Black City. No digging.
Więc możesz mi pożyczyć 5 złotych do niedzieli. Będziemy mieli forsy huk niedzielę jak na Bóg.
Everything okay?
Nie.
Stay safe, boss.
Ja pierdolę.
Dla tamtej innej odeszłeś tutaj i zostawiłeś po sobie żal. Choć tamta ma piękniejsze może oczy, ale nie kocha cię jak ja. Stachu, wróć, daruję ci winy, porzuć inne dziewczyny i do mnie wróć. Stachu, ja po nocach wciąż płaczę, gdy cię dziwną zobaczę. Wróć do mnie, wróć. Choćbyś kaleko był, nie daj spód. Zawsze cię mile przyjmę twój wrót. Stachu, jam cię przecież kochała i swe serce ci dałam. Wróć do mnie, wróć.
We'll call when you're on your way.
Zjednoczenie rodzin. Coś słyszę. Nice. Zakładam, że muzyki nie słychać, nie? No tak, z głośnika. Nie pany. A, kurwa. Dostałem oczywiście w oponę, żeby nie było za łatwo. Wow. O, proszę.
Yeah, I see the way the game play. Nigga like me, put the hood on that walk of fame. Take a piss of easy E, still sustain the frame. Gang bang relationships, don't need to name names. Black mama been telling these shit, it's time to ball. Oh shit, signals under the couch, old ways. Shit, I'm headed to Plucky's house, $1 million a plate. Coming in, Air Force, Uncle Sam, quick word about the other man. Pay taxes, a couple bands. Last night in the chess game, nigga walked away with $100 grand. Pussy poppin', killing shit, you son of Sam. Multi-billion-dollar check on you, fuck boys. Living life, Bishop Price, I got enough toys. My legacy is undefeated, call that bitch Floyd. I gave my blood to this shit, you welcome.
Po prostu.
J money, get it, we got play money. I don't know what's on the way for me, give a fuck, I stay for you. No better feeling in the world than that briish truck when it's pulling in. Hit the box like clockwork, drop top work, wait for the day.
Spoko. Ile kasy, wow. Skupidi skup. Skupidi skup. Skupti rupti tupti. Skupidi skup. Fakt. Nawet starsze. A i foty, że będzie cutscenka jakaś czy coś. O nie, bam, Bethel. A, dostałem 100 000, okej. Uprawnienia cofnięte. Ja pierdolę. Resztę zrobimy wieczorkiem, myślę. Bo zaraz Irish. Black privilege. Proszę. Proszę. Zobaczymy, czy jakieś ciuchy są nowe. Idziemy do kropa.
Feel free to try whatever you want.
Golf. Wow.
I don't usually dress like this. They make us wear the clothes.
To prawda. Halo?
The sizes run small if you want to avoid getting depressed. I really don't want to be here today. This is the latest collection, if you can believe it. Why does someone always come in just when I'm about to take a break?
Dobra, to na razie żegnam. Do zobaczenia. Chyba idzie kurier jeszcze. Kurwa, co za dzień zjebany. Pa, pa.
All I've eaten today is romaine lettuce.